China has announced retaliatory tariffs on select American imports and an antitrust investigation into Google, just minutes after a sweeping levy on Chinese products imposed by President Trump took effect. This isn't the first round of tit-for-tat actions between the two countries. China and the U.S. engaged in a trade war in 2018 when Trump raised tariffs on Chinese goods, and the country responded. Analysts say China is much better prepared to counter this time around, but also wary about taking steps that could upset its own fragile and heavy trade-dependent economy. Trump's 10% tariff on all goods coming to the U.S. from China took effect after midnight today, and Beijing pushed back with tariffs on some U.S. energy and metals imports.
When affecting a variety of U.S. products, those include a 15% tariff on coal and liquefied natural gas products, and a 10% tariff on crude oil, farm equipment, and large engine cars imported from the U.S. The Chinese government says it also implemented restrictions on the export of certain critical minerals, which are used in the production of high-tech products essential to U.S. economic or national security.
The moves elevating trade tensions between the world's two largest economies.
None of this is a surprise to China. This tariff threat is something that had been looming throughout the campaign and in recent weeks. And in recent years, China has been expanding where it exports well beyond the United States. But as far as where China stands, I think it is safe to say that it does have room for diplomacy.
Trump says he and Xi Jinping will speak at the appropriate time. Among items that could see higher prices, consumer electronics like phones, TVs, and computers, toys, jewelry, silverware, and sporting equipment, and shoes and sneakers imported in large numbers from China. The real impact will be felt once businesses deplete their current warehouse stock and need to bring in more unless the U.S. and China strike a deal soon.
Look, we brought in about $10 billion in value for footwear from China last year. 10%, I'm not a mathematician, but 10% is about $1 billion in additional costs at the border paid by American companies. And so that $1 billion has to go somewhere. It's got to be absorbed somewhere for companies to be competitive, to continue to have profitability.
Today, residents in China had mixed feelings, including fear over the relationship getting worse between the two nations.
I think it's better to have a win-win situation for each other. There should not be one party that only cares about its own interests without considering the other party.
I think China must take action on this matter. If you increase tariffs on me, I will increase tariffs on you. We can't just be the innocent victims for you to impose tariffs. But we, the ordinary people, will always support every policy of the country.
I think China will definitely catch up with and surpass the United States. That's it. Now, the situation in the US is not that optimistic.
Democrats noting the tariffs don't ally with the economic relief Trump promised in his 2024 campaign. Meanwhile, yesterday, Trump said he wanted Ukraine to supply the United States with rare earth minerals as a form of payment for financially supporting the country's war efforts against Russia. The U.S. has only one operating rare earths mine and very little processing capacity, although several companies are working to develop projects in the country. China is the world's largest producer of rare earths and many other critical minerals.
Trump wants rare earths because the American economy is highly dependent on Chinese sources, and it's an economic and national security risk.